right, well, I'm Chris Butsch, class of 2009. That puts me at 27, so I'm right in the middle of the millennial range. And when I was asked to come up here and talk about my experiences at Westminster, 3 stories immediately came to mind that taught me 3 different things about how this school is very special. The first one was, back when I was in high school, my senior year, I was a pretty perfect kid. And for somebody in this room, I was a little too perfect. I was sitting down with Coach Paws and Jim Justice. It was a PTA-style environment. My parents were there, and they were going over my GPA, my record, comments from teachers, etc. Something that all the students do. And then we got to one line that bothered Jim. It said, detentions, 0. And Mr. Justice, I'll never forget, he gave me this look like, you've never had a detention? Did ever got in trouble? So for the next 3 weeks, Jim Justice made it his personal mission to make sure that I got a detention before I graduated.
I think that's an exaggeration.
So he was trying to find a chink in my perfect armor, just following me around like a well-trained corporate lawyer. There must be something wrong. And he found it. Homeroom started at 7:55.
Oh my gosh.
Now, as a chill senior, I had a tendency to kind of roll in about 7:58. But if you do this 3 times, you get a detention. Now I found it curious that after the second time I did this, I didn't get a warning of any sort. Then the third time, I got detention. So I ended up having to go sit in Tony Souza's office and watch lacrosse highlights for 45 minutes. Which for a completely athletically challenged teenager was actually pretty torturous. So I learned my lesson. And my lesson that I took away from that about Westminster was, it's a pretty unique school if you've got teachers actively seeking out and suspicious of how the children are so perfect. The second story was when I was the captain of the community service club. One of our tasks was to create a video that would help sell the club and our projects to the rest of the student body, like a recruitment tool. So I sat down and went to some writing, and I wrote a script out called Captain Community and the Biscuit Bandit. The general plot was that we had a superhero on campus who would be one of the teachers, and he was fueled by the community service hours of the students. But we also sold chicken biscuits outside of the cafeteria every Friday, and that's how we made a lot of revenue for our club. So the plot was that one of the other teachers is going to be a supervillain, the Biscuit Bandit, and steal the biscuits away and drain power from Captain Community. Now the hardest part of this whole project was I had to find 2 teachers who were willing to play these roles. So I went to Senor Moore's office. I had a green wig in my hand and a cape in my other hand. I said, Senor Moore, I have a big favor to ask. I need you to pretend to be a superhero who thrives off of community service hours. I need you to jump around and wear these. He looked at me and he goes, what time? And then I went to Ken Gibson's room, who was my homeroom teacher, who was famous for having the ability to moonwalk. So perfect supervillain, right? So I went to his room with a red wig and a cape. And I said, Mr. Gibson, I have a favor to ask. I need you to pretend to be a supervillain who steals chicken biscuits and then moonwalks when he commits crimes. And Mr. Gibson said, you know, I've got my unicycle in my trunk. I can ride the unicycle. Yes, let's go get it. And he did, and we shot the video. It was 5 minutes long. It's still my crowning achievement. And you can still find it on YouTube. If you just YouTube probably, I think it's Westminster, Captain Community and the Biscuit Bandit, I think that's what it's called. It has like 612 views. I'm proud of those views. And what that taught me was, as I was watching Kim Gibson unicycle away with a big thing of chicken biscuits, and then Senor Moore in a green wig chasing after him and jumping over the grass, I thought, this doesn't happen in a lot of high schools. It's a very special relationship if a student can walk up to a teacher and ask them to do something silly for a project that they find important, and for the teachers not to hesitate. Those relationships don't exist at every high school, and that's really important. This third story requires a little fast forward in the future. because those happened when I was actually here. But fast forward about 8 years, and I had worked at a company called Epic after graduating from Vanderbilt. I was chasing down the American dream. I wanted the lake house, I wanted the BMW M3, I wanted to make as much money as I could. Why? Because it's America, it's what we do. Well, unfortunately, somewhere along that path, I was diagnosed with acute clinical depression. I was completely unhappy and unfulfilled at what I was doing in my direction in life. So I decided, what can I do that'll fulfill me more, but also help other people my age who are falling into this trap? So I decided to quit my job and study happiness full-time, positive psychology, neuroscience, neurolinguistics. I wanted to study what makes people happy around the world. So I traveled around the world and asked people, from a Mexican tequila farmer to a Buddhist monk on the top of the mountain. Everyone I could talk to, I wanted to learn about happiness. So when I'd collected all this data and all this knowledge, I sat down back in Atlanta and I started writing my first book. It's called The Millennial's Guide to Making Happiness, Positive Psychology Guide for Young People. And as I was writing the book, I realized I need to either publish through a traditional publishing house or I need to self-publish, and that's really expensive. Well, I didn't want to go through a traditional house because that can take up to 3 years, and traditional publishing isn't what it used to be. I didn't want to lose creative control. I wanted the message to be distilled. So I decided to self-publish. But to really do a good job self-publishing a book, it's about $5,000 to $10,000. I wasn't ready to throw that at the project because I was unemployed at the time. I was on my own. So I decided to run a Kickstarter campaign, an online fundraiser, and just asked for help from everybody in my past network. Teachers, my doctor, my best friend from high school, everyone I could. And during that month of November 2016, when I was running this online campaign trying to raise $10,000, I came back to Westminster for just a simple get-together and saw some old teachers, some old friends. I saw Maggie Finch, who strangely hadn't aged, and I told her about my project. I told her what I was trying to raise and why I was doing it. And then we parted ways. She gave me a hug, and then 5 minutes later, I got a notification on my phone. Maggie Finch has donated to your Kickstarter. Inspired by that, I went out to the Class of 2009 Facebook page, gave them the same exact spiel. Hey guys, I'm trying to self-publish my own book about happiness for young people. I'd love to get some of your support, some of your suggestions, feedback, anything you have to offer me. The next morning I woke up, my phone had exploded overnight. I saw 34 names from the Class of 2009. People I hadn't even spoken to in years, all supporting my fundraiser. So the fundraiser was a massive success, the book was published, and it's in the hands of a lot of Wildcats. I'm still getting feedback about it to this day. And what that taught me is that when you send your kids to Westminster, it's not just 4 or 8 years. It's a launching pad for a career with endless support. And it still warms my heart to come back here in situations like this. And I saw Jim, and I walked up, and one of my tricks for just giving somebody, a little leeway if I think they might not remember my name, I just walk up and say, hey, Chris Butsch, good to see you again. And Jim goes, come on, Chris, I know who you are. Again, not something that would happen in a lot of high schools. So I was just thrilled to come back and share those stories with everybody. That's all I have, but thank you for listening.